Hello guys, my name's Luke Woodick. Today is March 10th, 2022. I'm sitting here today with Antoinette Chavez. Now Antoinette Chavez, she worked for Gilbert Ortiz for 5.5 years. And I wanted to get Antoinette Chavez and I wanted to talk to her about the high turnover, why she's not currently working there, and some issues on election ballots, when this mail-in ballots that people think when they mail something, they wonder where their ballot actually goes. Antoinette, thank you for having this conversation with me and being here today. I would like to ask you a question. When did you start working at the motor vehicle department?
December 2010, and I quit in July of 2016.
Oh wow, you quit?
I quit.
Wow. So, Antoinette, within the last several months, I'm hearing these crazy things going on at the courthouse about, and from current employees, ex-employees, about mail-in ballots. What happens to them, where they go. I've heard several stories. I've had other people on like you that we've talked about this. Can you tell me how that works? When you were working for Gilbert Ortiz, what would you see every day that would go in there during the election time? How would they pick up what do you know about the ballots?
So we had one individual who no longer works there. He's retired, Wes, pick up the mail in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon. He would go to the post office by himself, pick up the mail, come back, sort it out. There was baskets on the desk by Gilbert's office, just outside of the office, labeled motor vehicle department and election. So he would sort them and put the mail in whichever basket it belonged, and then they would sit there until somebody came to pick them up.
And when someone come to pick them up, would you see one person pick them up? Would you see two? Did you ever see it picked up by one person, or what would you see?
Honestly, I would say when I did see people come in to pick them up, it was just usually one individual coming from the election department to pick them up.
Yeah. And where the ballots were brought in by this one person, if you had a guesstimate from where they're being set, how close to Gilbert's office is, how many feet? Just give me a rough idea.
Less than 10 feet, just maybe 5 feet up that. You just walk out the office and right around the little area there.
Right around the corner in the hallway?
Right around the corner.
So I've been there several times. Gilbert's office is in the back corner. If he were to step out of his office, the ballots are right there?
Correct.
Okay. Is it strange to you that he would have one person go pick up the mail, you said twice a day?
Twice.
Twice a day?
Yeah.
With morning, after,
Once in the morning and then once in the afternoon.
Okay. So this one gentleman, Wes, he would go pick up the mail, and he would get motor vehicle mail and election ballots?
Correct.
And he would bring them to the courthouse, to the motor vehicle department?
Yes.
Now, why would this guy bring ballots to the motor vehicle department when the election department is just several blocks down the road?
No idea.
Is that strange to you?
Yeah.
So, could Gilbert, we're not accusing him, but after hours, if those ballots are sitting there, could he grab them and look at the return address, say, hey, I know that guy. Hey, I know that guy. I know that guy's a conservative. I know that guy's a Democrat, but he don't like me. Could that happen?
It could, yes.
He has access to the ballots.
He has access to that office whenever he wanted to. So it was after hours, before hours, whenever.
Yeah, that's just, to me, I would never want to now cast my ballot in the mail because, I would imagine, I would think if I cast my ballot in the mail that it's going to the election department. Knowing this, do you want to cast your ballot in the mail?
No.
Knowing that it goes to the Midtown Shopping Center post office, then somebody's picking it up unattended, bringing it unattended back to another building and bringing it to the motor vehicle department. Then another unattended, not by two people, going to the election department. If you're a voter, do you want to vote in person or do you want to cast it in the mail?
In person.
I think that's a very good message to tell everybody in Pueblo, Colorado, that you cannot trust your mail-in ballot because it's going to the post office and it's not going to the election department. We understand everything goes to the post office. We get that. But I don't think the public knows that it actually sits in a P.O. box and then it gets shuffled around before it actually makes it there.
Right.
Is there other people that have seen this besides you that are either, you might not know about the current employees, but is there past employees that you know that say, yeah, they've seen that also?
Yes. I know several.
And everything here today, I don't want you to make up anything. I want you to be totally honest, that this is honest, that you would swear under penalty of perjury that everything you're telling me is absolutely truthful. Yep.
I would.
Why are you so brave to come on and say something like this?
Because I've been gone out of that office since 2016, and all I see is things getting worse instead of getting better. I have nothing to gain from being here. I'm already out. I quit there because I was tired of being bullied by Bo, and if you weren't one of his favorite employees, you had a target on your back. He always thought he was better than us. I remember one time he called me in to his office because he didn't like that I was sick one day, and he told me that it was convenient for me to be off that day because my son had an appointment for his college stuff. And he told me that if I didn't like his policies, to find the door, and that I needed to remember that he was the elected official and he was better than me. I had to stand up for myself at that time, and I told him, you're not better than me. I have served my country. I was in the military for 5 years. He is not better than me. Yeah, he's an elected official, but for him to tell me to my face that he's better than me was unacceptable. You may be my boss, but you're not better than me. I come to work, I do my job, and that's what I was there to do. I wasn't there to be mistreated. Everybody wants a good government job to work for the county. Why would anybody want to leave? I left for mental purposes because I hated to go to work anymore. I left to go to a different job in a whole different realm of work, and I even took a pay cut.
Oh wow, you took a pay cut and left the motor vehicle just because you didn't like it?
It's not that I didn't like my job. I didn't like how it was being managed and how we were as employees being treated.
Oh wow. I don't understand the turnover. I've been going there for the last 15 years that he's been there. He's on his 16th year. And I have seen the turnover rate just, I mean, seems like every month there's 2 or 3 new people in there. Is it weird that you'd have a government job and have that high of a turnover rate? Like, people want a government job. Like, they go work for the government because they can rely on 40 hours a week. They know they have benefits. Why is there such a high turnover? I don't get it.
Because of the mistreatment. I can say that for myself anyway, and a few of my co-workers that have left as well. We were just tired of being bullied and mistreated and being talked down to.
Wow. Yeah, it's just crazy that somebody like you, that 5.5 years worked for the county, that you'd get up and leave and go for a pay cut. But I understand, like, if you're not happy with where you're working, you have to leave. I would like to ask you too, is how often is Gilbert even there? I've gone there for, like I say, 15 years, going on 16 years, the whole time he's been in there, and I see that he's hardly there, and when he is there, he's goofing off. Mm-hmm. He's not working, he's not helping customers get plates, he's not helping the counter. There could be a long, long, long line outside the door, and he'll just be standing there with his hands on somebody's desk and just be looking at the line. Does he even know how to do title work? Has he ever, in the 5.5 years you've been there, has he ever helped one customer get their plates?
Never. Never.
Never sat at the counter, gave somebody a renewal?
Never. I don't even think he knows how to run a renewal, and that's the easiest thing you can do in that office.
Wow. I really feel that Pueblo needs a change, and it has nothing to do with Democrat versus Republican or Republican versus Democrat. I see this department failing. I see the high turnover with the staff. Do you think this June 28th, he's up for the primary election, for the Democrat primary? What would you like to tell the people of Pueblo this June 28th to do? Do you think we need to vote him out? What do you think?
I think it's time for a change. It's been time for a change for a long time. He shouldn't have lasted this long. We need to get someone in there who actually cares about their employees and the community. We are the ones that have to face the disgruntled customers when they come in for license plates and titles that they've been waiting for months. It's a good job, yes it is, but the high turnover, you have to ask yourself, why is everyone leaving? Because if you had a leader that took care of their employees and actually cared about the community and the office, how it's run, I would still be there. I mean, I wouldn't have left. I mean, I loved my job, but we need someone in there that actually can run the office as well as the election department and not favor the election department over the motor vehicle department. When we get behind, we're told we needed to stay and do mandatory overtime. When election came along, motor vehicle employees, it was mandatory for us to help during the election time. But when motor vehicles is backed up with title paperwork, election department was never made to come over to assist us. So anything that the election department needed or wanted, Bo was there to give them. But when we needed assistance, we were on our own.
So it's almost like, from listening to you talk, that the election department means way more to him than getting people's plates.
Yes.
And to me, I mean, I'm going to take my own opinion on it. I won't air it, but it seems to be that is the department that he's favoring, because there's a motive there that he's making sure that department's taken care of, and he's letting the motor vehicle department crumble. Would you? How do you feel about that?
I agree. I
Do you agree?
We failed since I was there in 2010, and it only got worse the whole time I was there. I can't imagine what that office looks like now. I can only hear from a few people that I still know that have continued to work there, and some that have recently left, but it's just gotten worse.
Now, do you think if he gets voted out this June 28th, if he gets voted out June 28th, he wouldn't exit office till next year? Do you think that if somebody new came in and got elected, and they reached out to you and said, Antoinette, we understand you know how to do this job, you used to work here, we need people, we need to turn this office around, you could get this job back, would you go back and work for the county?
Definitely.
If you had a different leader?
Yes.
Do you think that we could take all the good, skilled people like you and contact those people back? What's your chance? You think most of them would come?
I think some of them, a few of them have just retired. They don't want to work anymore. But most of us that have left, if he wasn't in office anymore, would definitely go back.
Wow. And I think that if somebody gets in there, I think they do need to reach out to all of you ladies that are very skilled. I know there's some guys that left there too that were really good also, that they should get them to come back, because I think people are just wanting to work for somebody different.
Right. And you know, if somebody was actually able to get a hold of all of our exit interviews, I think they would be surprised.
Now, what's an exit interview?
So when I quit, I had to go up to Human Resources, fill out a paper saying why I quit. I laid it all out there, and it was my handwritten paper, so I had to give it to the girl that was doing my exit interview, and she typed it in the system. And just the expression on her face when she was typing my statement was hilarious, because I don't know, I can't speak for everybody else, but I was not one to be quiet. And that's why I wasn't liked in that office to begin with. I stood up for myself. Like I said, I'm a military veteran, and I learned I needed to stand up for myself. So I let them know, he tried to break the HIPAA law when I was on a medical leave out of the office for a few days. He called my doctor's office demanding to know why I was signed out of work. And when the receptionist told him, that's HIPAA, we can't tell you that she's signed out from the doctor, he demanded to speak to the doctor, which my doctor told him, sorry, we can't give you that information. He said, I'm her boss, I demand to know. Well, my doctor, of course, didn't give him that information. He called up to my son's college to see if we had an appointment scheduled on a day that I asked for off. I was out again on a medical thing, and he called me because my doctor had written that I was in an accident. He demanded to know what accident I was in, which was just a typo. It was supposed to be for an illness. But he's just not a very nice person. And if he wasn't there any longer, I would definitely go back.
So this January of 2023, if Gilbert gets out of office and somebody takes over that office, and if whoever wins, they reached out to you, would you go back?
Definitely.
And do you think you could get more people than yourself?
I believe so.
Do you think more people would be brave enough to do what you're doing here today and come and talk to me and get their story out there, so Pueblo we could have a new leader, and we can show the public why that office has so much turnover and get their stories like you? Would there other people be willing to do this?
I believe so, yes, and I hope that they would, because if you don't get the story from us, the people that actually work there, then you won't know. So people need to ask us these questions, and I'm not afraid to tell you the story, why I quit. I'm not afraid to tell you what happened in that office. Bo wasn't there all the time. He would stroll in after we opened, leave before we would close. He would say, I'm going to lunch, and be gone for hours. He would come back, stay there a few minutes, and he would leave. He was in his office playing video games, on his cell phone, making personal calls.
He plays video games at work?
Yes.
Like on what? His phone or a TV? Or
He has
what?
a TV in his office.
And he'd just sit there and play video games?
Yes.
Wow.
Play video games, watch TV, be on his laptop, be on his phone.
I think that somebody making close to $150,000, I don't know what he makes. I heard it's between $125,000 to $150,000. It's somewhere in that ballpark. Somebody that makes that kind of money, don't you think that they would serve the people? They would help the main line. They would go out there and get on the computer and get people renewals and title work. And when you're self-employed, sometimes you got to get engaged and get things done. If you see your company falling, or a customer needs help, I mean, I would imagine that he should just get on there and do that. And whoever wins this next election, I think that they know the public needs that. They need to be a leader. They don't always need to be working the counter, but I think if we get somebody that'll say, I'll engage every once in a while if needed, that would be
right. I think
that's what somebody should do.
I think it would make a big difference if whoever does get elected would put an effort to actually learning the job and helping customers when there's a line out the door. Everybody's been to the motor vehicle department. You know what the lines look like.
And they're not going to work the counter all day because they have administration stuff to do in the back and paperwork behind the scenes to deal with the state. But they should know the department. And if they had to, if the line was long, like you say, just jump on the counter for an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 hours, and then go do whatever, back to what you were doing.
Because even our renewal line, there was two of us on the main renewal line when I was there. So when one of us would go to lunch, that only left one individual doing renewals, and occasionally, we would pull somebody else would pull a renewal person, but during the time when we're on lunch, why couldn't Bo come up and take our spot and help customers? Because he doesn't know how. That's the reason. He's never run a renewal in the 5.5 years that I've been there. His job was to man the line. He would come out of his office, ask the people, well, what do you have? Do you have a renewal? Do you have title paperwork? And he would say, oh, well, you're in the wrong line. Go in this line. That was his job. That doesn't help our customers, and it definitely didn't help us.
Yeah, they didn't help the main line.
No.
To get it down. Well, I'm so glad that you come here. I'm so glad that you're brave enough to actually just come out and share your story. Is there anything else that you would like to let the people of Pueblo know of this coming up? His elections June 28th for the primary. Is there anything that you want to tell the public that they need to know, what kind of change? Anything I left out that you want to say anything?
I don't think there's anything. I think we've covered everything. I just hope that Pueblo comes together and votes him out and votes a competent person to be in there. Someone who cares about his employees and his community, not just himself.
And just change in general. Does this have anything to do with party, like Republican versus Democrat?
No.
Democrat versus Republican?
Doesn't matter who would be in there, Democrat, Republican, whichever party wins, it's just got to be someone who actually will do their job, take care of the community and his employees, his or her employees.
And everything you said here today, you swear it's the truth and under penalty of perjury that what you said is accurate. You're not fabricating anything.
I am not. I am a military veteran, and I hold true to my word.
That's really cool that with what's going on in our country with Ukraine, that somebody like you actually served our country. You don't see too many women do it. You see a lot of women, but not as many as guys, and I'd have to say thank you for that. That's pretty brave of you to actually want to do something like that.
Thank you.
And I think most men out there, and I've never been in the military, but do I think that our country, everybody out of high school should serve for at least 2 or 3 years? Absolutely. I honor you for that. I see what's going on in Ukraine, and I just say, people like you that actually stand for our country, and to sit here and do what's right, that means a lot. And I think people that are watching this will also appreciate your service. I know my family's big in that. My grandpa was in World War II, and he was from Poland, so he was just one country over. So this war going over there is, we talk about it every day. Our family it's kind of like hit home, because my grandpa and my dad's grandparents, they were from Poland. So I want to honor you for doing this and coming on, and I just, back to those ballots again, it's just so frustrating that people cast their vote in the mail thinking it's going to the election department, and they're getting backdoored and it's going somewhere else.
Right.
Do you think if this message gets out there, what's the safest way to vote? If, from what you've seen, is it to drop it in a drop box instead, or is it to vote in person?
I would vote in person, first and foremost, if that's not possible, because the polling stations are closed and all you have left is a drop box. That would be the second one, but preference for anybody would be to vote in person.
And one more thing, do you think that it's fair to all candidates that run for an office, Democrat or Republican, that they put in all this hard work, and do you think it's fair that their ballots, that the mail-in ballots is going to the post office, and then it's going back to the motor vehicle department, and then it's getting picked up and it's going to the election department, and it's unattended, picking it up and bringing it to the motor vehicle department? Do you think it's fair for these candidates that might have lost a race to say there could have been some cheating going on, there could have been some mishandling of ballots? It's just as easy for Gilbert to get on they have these Facebook Pueblo Patriots, they have these Republican Party things, they have these groups like I Live in Pueblo West, and there's people on there that complain about Gilbert. I Live in Pueblo West Facebook, and people say he should open up that department, Gilbert this, Gilbert that, and there's complaints. Do you think he could make a list and say that guy dislikes me, that guy dislikes me, and have a list, and he could actually go, I recognize that name, I recognize that name, because there's so many groups, Democrat page, Republican page, Patriot page, Pueblo stand-up page, I live in Pueblo West, and all these people on all these groups are complaining about Gilbert. He could write down their names, grab those mail-in ballots and go, yeah, I know who that guy is, I know who that guy is, and it could be changed, or the ballot could just be missing. Do you think that can happen?
It is possible.
And does that frustrate you?
It does.
Because it sure in heck frustrates me that that's going on in this town of Pueblo, Colorado.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Antoinette. Thank you for coming on and just having a nice conversation with you. And hopefully we can change this office around. If we get him out, whoever gets in, I'm going to tell him to hire you back.
Thanks.
Because every time I was there and you filed my title work, you were polite and you were very good at your job.
Thank you.
Thank you.